As you can see from our banners, here in Advent we celebrate hope and joy and peace and love. That's what the candles represent. Today we have lit the candle of peace. And so we, with thousands of millions of Christians around the world, place an emphasis on the reality of peace and on the meaning of a statement such as, "Peace be with you." The idea of expressing peace and wanting peace for another is ancient. As far back as the book of Numbers, we find the statement, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace." Or we find in the New Testament, the Christian Bible, for example, in the first letter to Peter, "Whoever would love life and see good days must keep their tongue from evil and their lips from deceitful speech. They must turn from evil and do good. They must seek peace and pursue it." Or in the book of Jude, "Mercy, peace, and love be yours in abundance." Or as far back as the Psalms, "Turn from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it." In Paul's letter to the church at Ephesus, "Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace." Isaiah, "How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring good news, who proclaim peace, who bring good tidings, who proclaim salvation." If there is a theme that runs through the scriptures, it is a theme that has to do with the reality and the elusive reality of peace. And yet the history of humanity is mostly told in terms of the history of warfare. We go through our history. I'm watching right now on PBS the American Revolution that Ken Burns has done. It's a wonderful piece that he has done. But he does it in a way that lets us see the underlying turmoil that's going on, not only in the Continental Army and in the colonies, but in Great Britain and France and Spain, and what is really at stake, especially among the Native Americans, the indigenous people of this continent, who realize very quickly that this war is not just about independence, which we now celebrate so joyfully, but about a very unpeaceful pursuit of Western lands and who's going to control them. It's always a hard time to speak of peace when there is no peace. I was born when what was called the Second World War was taking place. Cities being destroyed, people being imprisoned, genocide being the norm, wholesale slaughters, so much so that rules of engagement had to be established. People murdering one another in the name of some great cause that had little to do with love and a lot to do with power. We speak of peace when there is no peace. Think of what is happening in Europe. A free country invaded by another country who wants to claim it as its own. People on the high seas with no legal process being killed, and to make sure that they are killed, second strikes to ensure their death. We speak of peace, and there is no peace. And the Holy Land, what we call the Holy Land, has such a history in contemporary time of warfare that extends the history of warfare in the ancient of times. And yet, there is something in the human spirit that knows that peace is what we are meant to experience. There is something in the human consciousness, if you will. It says there's something unhealthy about the way we go about this business of unpeaceful interaction with one another. There's something in who we are as human beings and human becomings that tell us that the Scriptures speak meaningfully about the need to be able to greet one another with the statement, "Peace be with you." Now, there's something very interesting about that, incidentally, this greeting that we've often used in the church as we turn to one another and pass the peace to one another. In its fullest meaning, peace be with you, Shalom Aleichem, is really a wish for the safety of the person who is wishing peace be with you. Most people don't realize that. But the brilliant wisdom in that is that if you are a person at peace with yourself, I am safe with you. And so that's why the response is often, Aleichem Shalom. You don't just repeat what the other said. You say, peace upon you. So it's actually an insightful greeting that does wish the well-being of the other, that really intends that the other be living a life that experiences peace, that the other understand that sense of at-one-ment, atonement, if you will, that allows them to be at peace with themselves, at peace with others, at peace with nature, at peace with God, at peace with their past, at peace with their present, at peace with their feared future. That somehow the wish is honest, that I want for you that you experience peace. But in wanting that for you, I guarantee to me a safety I do not have if you are not at peace. Ask any battered woman who's been married to a man who abuses her. You know, she wishes peace for him because his not being at peace is what's manifesting itself in his brutality toward her. If he could just come to at-one-ment with himself, if he could just come to a sense of self-acceptance, of self-valuing, so that his sense of inadequacy that makes him necessarily feeling the need to demean her would go away, you begin to understand why wishing peace for you is wishing freedom and safety for me. And that is the great insight of it all, that the more I wish well-being to the other, the better my own life is. And the truth of the matter is, most of the world's interaction is the exact opposite. That if I use enough force with you and make you at peace so that I can control you and dominate you with power, the history of the world, then I think I'm going to be safer. When in fact, I'm only contributing to the great rebirth of hatred, resentment, alienation, revenge, retribution. And so when Jesus says to his disciples, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives," because the world doesn't seem to understand this. They think that peace is the absence of conflict. They think that we have peace if I'm powerful enough to control you and dominate you. If you've grown up in Oklahoma as I did, you understand what the indigenous people think of the white man's understanding of peace. The white man's understanding of peace is that we beat you down, we controlled you, we took your land away, we put you in reservations, and now we're at peace because you're not attacking our arrogant generals like Custer anymore. And so, why aren't you happy on your reservation? Because we're at peace. Meaning, we're not attacking you, brutalizing you, using our power to destroy you and make you subject to our rules. And that's the way the world thinks. That if we have the power, then we create the peace. And that's why in the history books, it's always the winners who are writing the history. You know, I grew up in Oklahoma and never once had a textbook written from the Cherokee or the Choctaw or the Chickasaw or the Seminole or the Creek perspective. Not once. Because they didn't get to write the books. The winners wrote the books. The powerful wrote the books. The white man wrote the books. You know, I grew up 40 miles from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Not once in my education, including my studies in Oklahoma history when I was in high school, was there a single mention of the Tulsa Massacre. The black folks didn't write those books. The white folks did. And the Oklahoma Board of Education got to decide what was going to go into the high schools. 40 miles from Tulsa, and I never even knew about it. I lived out here before I found out about it. So we speak of peace, but there is no peace. And yet the church is that community of faith that says we can live in peace. It is a possibility. We don't walk away, shrug our shoulders, and say, well, it's just impossible. Look at history, it's not going to happen. We don't believe that. We believe that we really can one day come to the understanding that we are brothers and sisters in the reality of life. That we share so much more in common than we have in division. That we really can begin to see one another as precious, unique persons who happen to be, everything else is who happens to be, black or white or gay or straight or trans, who happens to be male or female, rich or poor, who happens to be. And then, because we see you as precious, we want to do something about whatever plight characterizes your life. We want to be a beneficial presence in your life because you are precious and because you are valued, and I see you. And I identify with you because you and I are one in our humanity. Was this not the message of Christ? Was this not what St. Paul was talking about when he said, in Christ, there's neither east nor west. There's neither male nor female. There's neither Greek nor Jew. We're persons. Precious persons. And if we are to have peace, it has to come in our recognition of one another as precious persons who are, in fact, at one with us. You're not someone to be observed, you're someone to be experienced. And I experience you only by being able to identify with you. And to celebrate that union that brings you and me together in this special bond we call love. That's our hope. That's our commitment. That's our calling. That's what peace is. But first, look in the mirror. Look deeply into your own eyes and say, how at peace with myself am I? Because if we are to love the other as ourself, the first question to ask is, how much do I love me? What have I not forgiven? What do I refuse to forget? What do I continue to hold on to negatively? Until I'm at peace with me, at one with me, how am I to be at one with the other? It's a dangerous thing, because guess what? I probably will love the other as myself. So God help the other if I haven't dealt with at one with me. That's what projection is all about, but that's another sermon. Okay. This is a day of peace. Let it begin with you and with me. Amen.